When the bombs fell and the world went dark, something as simple as a morning cup of coffee became a distant luxury. During the Second World War, coffee wasn't just scarce, it vanished from entire nations overnight. Yet people still needed to stay alert, focused and alive, whether in the field on night watch or labouring through long rationed days. So they got creative. Out of desperation came one of the most fascinating forgotten brews in history, a caffeine-free energy drink made from roasted acorns, chicory and dandelion root. This wasn't a gimmick, it worked. Soldiers, farmers and families relied on it to stay sharp and steady when supplies and spirits ran low. Today, the same method still works, providing natural focus and long-lasting stamina without the crash of caffeine. Let's break down how it was made, why it worked, and how you can recreate this lost wartime secret for yourself. When coffee disappeared, survivalists turned to the ground beneath their feet. By 1942, Allied blockades had strangled the global coffee trade. In Europe, even the black market couldn't keep up. People turned to local resources, and the forest floor became their pantry. Acorns, chicory, and dandelion roots were common, renewable, and easy to process, even with limited tools. Acorns, those overlooked nuts that blanket oak forests, became the backbone of wartime coffee substitutes. Once properly leached to remove bitter tannins, roasted acorns produced a dark, earthy brew remarkably close to coffee in both colour and aroma. Chicory root, long used in France and parts of the American South, added depth and smoothness, while dandelion root contributed a slightly bitter edge that mimicked caffeine's bite. Families would collect, dry and roast these ingredients at home. In occupied France and Germany, it wasn't uncommon for people to grind the mixture in hand mills and brew it every morning, preserving a sense of normalcy when nothing else felt normal. At first glance, it seems, almost impossible that plants like dandelion or acorn could replace caffeine's stimulating power. But, wartime ingenuity revealed that alertness doesn't only come from caffeine, it can come from nutrients that stabilize blood sugar and support mental clarity. Roasted acorns are rich in complex carbohydrates and B vitamins that deliver a slow, steady release of energy rather than a jolt. And then there's dandelion root, which supports liver function, improving metabolic efficiency, something soldiers and workers needed when nutrition was poor. Chicory root contains inulin, a prebiotic fibre that feeds healthy gut bacteria, which in turn helps the body absorb minerals vital for stamina, such as magnesium and potassium. The result wasn't a jittery rush. It was really a calm, sustainable alertness, the kind you need when you're rationing every crumb and working from dawn till dark. Many who drank this forest brew reported clearer thinking and better endurance than they ever had with coffee. If you want to replicate this forgotten formula, the process is straightforward but requires patience, just as it did during the war. Start by gathering mature acorns from oak trees in the fall. Remove the shells and soak the nut meats in cold water for 24 hours, changing the water several times to draw out the tannins that cause bitterness. Once the water runs clear, go ahead and drain and spread the acorns on a baking tray. Roast them in an oven or, over a campfire at low heat until they turn a deep brown and become quite aromatic. For the chicory and dandelion roots, just clean them thoroughly, slice them thin, and roast them the same way until they're crisp and dark. When all three components are ready, grind them together, about 2 parts acorn, 1 part chicory, and 1 part dandelion root. Brew this mixture, just as you would coffee pars. 1 tablespoon per cup of boiling water, steeped for, 5 to 10 minutes. The result is a rich, dark beverage with nutty, smoky undertones and a surprisingly satisfying body. It won't spike your heart rate, but it will give you balanced energy that lasts for hours. In a modern survival context, it's perfect for bug-out kits or homesteads where coffee storage just isn't sustainable. This isn't just a relic of history, it's a timeless lesson in adaptation. During the Second World War, people didn't have the luxury of choice. They learned to transform what they had into what they needed, using local resources creatively and efficiently. That's, honestly, the essence of real survival. Today, if supply chains falter or you're living off-grid, understanding these old methods can make a real difference. Knowing how to produce an energizing, nutrient-rich drink from wild ingredients means independence from store-bought stimulants. You're not just drinking history. You're reclaiming a lost skill of self-reliance. If you're camping, hiking, or prepping for long-term sustainability, roasting acorns and roots can also double as food sources. The acorn meal left over from brewing can be dried and used as flour for high-energy biscuits, while chicory and dandelion can be reused to enrich compost or animal feed. Nothing goes to waste, exactly as it was during the war. There's something, well, almost poetic about how necessity turned into tradition. Even after the war ended, many Europeans kept drinking these substitutes out of preference. They'd grown to appreciate the steady calm it provided, the earthy flavour, and the independence from imported luxuries. In an era obsessed with instant energy and disposable convenience, this old brew reminds us that true vitality doesn't come from a caffeine kick. It comes from nourishment, patience, and connection to the land. You can roast your own roots today and experience what wartime survivors already knew. Energy doesn't have to come in a cup of coffee. It can come from the ground beneath your feet. So, the next time you think of survival coffee, remember that the strongest brew in history didn't come from a plantation. It came from resilience. Try making your own World War II-style coffee substitute and see how it changes the way you think about energy. If you found this guide valuable, subscribe to Warfield Survival and share this video with fellow history and survival enthusiasts. Every week, we uncover lost wartime knowledge that still works today. Stay alert, stay prepared, and, as always, keep the spirit of ingenuity alive.